there's some new products that I think will interest you and give us another way of changing our gardening habits, whether we have a large place to garden or a patio. But David, thank you for allowing us to come this morning.
Annette, welcome to Bates Nursery and Garden
Busy
Center.
day, I know.
We're glad to have you out on this beautiful spring morning.
Absolutely. We can't put it back in a box now, can we?
No, we can't. We're not trying to either.
Not meaning to lead into the box, but let's talk about this box right here and what's exciting for the gardener in this.
Well, first of all, I think we all have been aware of that there's a lot of folks who are really thinking a lot more about raised gardens, container planting, that kind of thing. Many folks, in fact, who had water or land that was covered by floodwaters have a lot of concerns about what might have been in those waters. Did their soil become contaminated? Has it had sufficient time to leach out yet? And one of the solutions that a lot of people have chosen to go through is to simply go to a raised planter and get that garden up above ground level and not be getting down into that soil below until they have a real surety that that's cleared out. Now, that said, there's a lot of advantages to having a raised bed garden. This is made out of Tennessee cedar, Juniperus virginiana, which is the eastern red cedar.
Right.
These are from trees cut in the state. They have been milled in the state. These were manufactured and assembled in the state. So they're the ultimate locally sustainable and manufactured object you can get.
Well, and what's really great about this, they don't have to be pre-treated. There's no creosote, there's nothing there to keep them from rotting.
Eastern red cedar is naturally rot resistant, so it is reasonable to expect to get many years out of them. And I would say there's a pretty good chance you won't have moss hanging around because, as we know, cedars have been used to line closets and chests and all that for many a year. They do smell great and they hold up well and last really well.
I want to show quickly, this is a slotted installation, and it makes it something even a woman can do. You got to have a truck to get it home in, and they just slide right, and it comes actually packaged and cellophane wrapped and ready to go. Now let me ask you one question. This actually, what if you were to install this on a solid thing like this concrete? Would that work for a person?
Certainly.
You'd put plastic under it?
It would probably be a good idea. I wouldn't suggest plastic. I would suggest using a landscape fabric, something that is has a porous nature to it, can still block the light, but it will serve when you put it in the bottom of a planter, be it a container or as a raised bed like this, to serve as a soil separator and essentially to filter out those particles to keep them from getting out into the driveway. That kind of thing.
If say you're planting vegetables, their typical root length is not going to be that much. And they also spread this way. You have made up your own soil mix, and so you put together different components that do different things.
Absolutely. Several years ago, I became really kind of disillusioned with the choices that were available in the marketplace with respect to soils that were available. Many of the products that you see labeled topsoil, as a matter of fact, I have yet to ever find one that's labeled topsoil that actually has any topsoil in it. I don't know how they get away with calling it topsoil, but it is not topsoil. It is just organic material that, for all intents and purposes, is totally sterile and lifeless. There are no beneficial microbes in it. It will barely grow weeds. So from that little impetus, I kind of started down my path of trying to recreate the kind of soil mixes that I used to make with my grandmother as a kid growing up in the business. And we always used really good things such as actual topsoil that we ran through a shredder to have it sifted down to a finer consistency. We'd use things such as composted manure, and then we'd also use other things such as good barks like pine bark. And so we started working with the various ratios of those things and came up with what we call our Earth Mix Premium Topsoil Blend. And this is the one we've worked a lot with, and we've had great success with it.
But let's say, for instance, that I'm going to grow tomatoes or maybe a salsa garden, So I know your earth mix is light, but maybe I want a little more fertilizer, or let's make it a little bit lighter even.
Well, you can certainly do that, and that's one of the benefits we have with our ability to be able to custom blend medias. We can take with any of our various components and blend those together to suit your particular needs. So if I'm hearing you right, what I think you might want to consider doing is take a scoop of earth mix, and to that add maybe a bag of perlite and another bag of vermiculite, and then also add a bag of organic plant tone fertilizer to help give you a little more extended fertilizer release. The great thing about it is when we run it through our mixer, it creates a completely homogeneous blend. So every bit of it is the same all the way through. So when you fill that into your planter, you're going to have equal nutrition and the exact same consistency all the way through.
I know there are microorganisms and all sorts of things in soil. So what you've put into these will make the soil that is in the mix come together and work to do what the plants need.
Yeah, and it's not just about the things you're putting in there with regard to the particulate size, although that's important. There are other things such as mycorrhiza fungi. The mushroom compost is naturally high in that. You're also going to get additional 14 different types of mycorrhizal fungi in the plant tone fertilizer. Now what that does is it creates little extensions essentially on the root system that enable the plants that are there to uptake more of the available nutrition that's there. So what you get in a product like an organic fertilizer such as the Spoma plant tone is the ability to uptake the available moisture and nutrition that is there much better than just a chemical fertilizer would do. You also have other things such as humates in there. These are all things that keep that soil live, and a live soil is far more productive than something that's just sterile and you're depending on putting every little thing in there.
All parts are just laying there separate.
This can actually extract nitrogen out of the air as a part of that mycorrhizal process, so you can get a little benefit there also. Okay,
as far as quantity goes, now you say a scoop of earth mix, that would be a half a yard?
That's a yard and a quarter. So it's quite an amount. It's more than enough to fill one of the 4x8 planters.
I know that we've given new information on maybe perhaps a new way to garden, and we don't have to feel left out. And with prices for food and what's sprayed on it, and I think the home gardener can have contentment in knowing what they're giving to their families.
And the food you grow yourself just tastes better.
Absolutely.